Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, and Sambo MMA fighters are definitely synonymous with this technique. Submission is one of the important elements in the MMA, where the technique seems to be presented in every fight. The lock can be done in the arm, leg or neck area. Even so, this technique is also considered very effective when used by MMA fighters to immediately tap out. Here are 4 of the deadliest submission techniques in MMA. But before we continue, please subscribe and press the bell so you don't miss other interesting information. Hammerlock. Remember how the police arrested a criminal? Yep, this technique is almost similar to what the police do in arresting criminals. Hammerlock is a dangerous one because it can paralyze the opponent's shoulder. What is done in this technique is to put your arms behind your opponent's back, then press your wrists back and neck. The most famous fight when using this technique was MMA athlete Shinya Aoki when he defeated Mizuta Hirota. At that time, Shinya Aoki broke his opponent's hand because he refused to give up. Heel hook. Although we rarely see it, the heel hook is a very dangerous submission because of the after effects of the lock. Heel hook is an ankle lock by rotating the ankle joint with a crank on the heel. The result of this submission was excruciating pain. One fighter who is adept at doing this submission is Frank Shamrock. This former MMA fighter once made his opponent, Don Frye, very tormented because of his flagship heel hook technique. Basically, Don Frye is superior to Frank Shamrock. But thanks to his expertise in this submission, Don Frye has suffered a severe injury to his leg. It's also what has made Don Frye become addicted to drugs due to prolonged pain. Twister. Twister, which means to rotate, where this movement begins by locking one of the opponent's legs with both thighs from behind. Next, the hand grabs the enemy's head and rotates it in the opposite direction to the lower body. Although we rarely see it, in fact, this submission technique has been used by many in big MMA fights. In the history of the UFC itself, the first person to defeat his enemy using this technique was the Korean Zombie. At that time, Chan Sung-young managed to defeat Leonard Garcia with this technique and forced his opponent to tap out as quickly as possible. The basis of the twister lock itself is actually the submission of the spinal and neck cranks. That's what makes this technique very deadly, considering the spine and neck are very vital parts. Kimura. This technique has often been used by MMA fighters to win the fight and get the opponent's tap. Kimura itself is a movement to lock the arm by putting pressure on the opponent's shoulder. If the fighter doesn't give up immediately and gives a tap when he gets the Kimura, it can be fatal. This is what makes this technique one of the most dangerous submission techniques in MMA. Kazushi Sakuraba is one of the MMA fighters who had shocked the world, where he was able to break Renzo Gracie's arm using this Kimura technique. So guys, those are the 4 deadliest submission techniques in MMA. In your opinion, which technique is the most lethal to defeat the enemy in a match? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to like and share. See you in another video. See ya.